Hey, friend. Welcome to the Dwell With Me podcast, where I am passionate about leading women to Christ while helping to deepen their relationship with Him. Welcome back to Abounding Grace, Finding Favor in God's Sight. We are still going through the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1, and I'm going to start with verses 21 through 22. Thanks so much for joining us today. 1 Samuel 1:21 says, Now the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, Not until the child is weaned. Then I will take him, that he may appear before the Lord and remain there forever. If you remember in our last podcast, we saw that God answered Hannah's prayer and that she gave him this wonderful, beautiful son named Samuel. So here is Elkanah and his family. They're going up again to sacrifice to the Lord. Remember in the first podcast, we talked about this yearly sacrifice, but there was a reason that Hannah did not travel with her family this time. Yes, that is it. Samuel was still weaning. Hannah would have probably held on to Samuel until he was about the age of 3 or 4, and then he would be officially weaned from her. But I think there was also another reason why she chose not to go to the temple at that time. I believe, just like any other mom, that you just want to hold your babies tight and you want to spend every last minute with them. I believe the same is true with Hannah during this time as well. In 1 Samuel 1:22, Hannah mentioned that after Samuel was weaned, she would then take him, that he may appear before the Lord and remain there forever. Remember, that was part of her vow to Eli the priest, but also to God. So she knows that when she takes this child to the temple, she is leaving him there, and she will only see him once a year. Wouldn't we rather hold on to our children forever? But is that really what God has intended for our kids? Did you know that our children never truly belong to us? They have always belonged to God. They were His kids first. Let's read 1 Samuel 1:23 and 24. So Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him. Only let the Lord establish His word. Then the woman stayed and nursed her son until she had weaned him. Now when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bulls, 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was very young. Elkanah shared some wise words with Hannah in this passage. He said, Only let the Lord establish His word. What Elkanah is saying to Hannah is to trust God. He has a plan, and He will bring all of this to fruition. Don't run ahead of God. This is a lesson Sarai could have learned in Genesis chapter 16. Maybe you've heard this story. Sarai ran ahead of God and formulated a plan for her maidservant Hagar to have a son with Abram. Of course, Sarai's misery turned out to be Abram's fault. Hagar would have a son named Ishmael. Sarah would give birth to Isaac. Let me stop here and give you just a little history lesson on the meaning of these names. Isaac is in the lineage of Jesus. Ishmael's lineage are part of the Arabs. Are there problems today with the Israelites and Arab countries surrounding them? You betcha. So what lesson can we learn from the life of Sarai? Don't run ahead of God. God's ways are higher than our ways. And don't laugh at God. What He has in store for you could be greater than you ever imagined. So let's return to our story. 1 Samuel 1:24 and 25. Now when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bulls, 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young. Remember, I said he would have been about 3 or 4 at this time. Then they slaughtered a bull and brought the child to Eli. Hannah was bringing God a peace offering. Remember the offering that we talked about with Elkanah, bringing the meat offering as a sacrifice? This was her way of showing her gratitude to God. Does this story remind you of another young man whose parents were searching for him and they found him at the temple? Yes, Jesus. Jesus said, "Why did you seek me?" as he's talking to Mary and Joseph. "Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?" in Luke 2:49. Isn't it the same with Samuel? Hannah made a vow, and she kept her promise that Samuel must be about his Father's business. Let's read 1 Samuel 1:26 through 28 and finish out this chapter. And she said, "O my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood by you here, praying to the Lord." She's speaking to Eli the priest. "For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore I also have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to the Lord." So they worshipped the Lord there. Hannah had prayed for this child. Remember all the agony and all the pain that Peninnah had placed on her because she was barren and was unable to produce a child. So why would she give him back to the Lord? As I mentioned earlier, our children never truly belong to us in the first place. They're just borrowed. I was recently reminded how our children are on loan to us and how quickly our time with them fades. This past year was probably one of the most difficult seasons in my personal life. Our child came to us in the spring, and we thought that he was going into plumbing or trade school, and kind of surprised us with the news that he wanted to join the Navy. So I was excited at first, but as reality hit and we dropped him off in Houston, things really started to hit home. And I really struggled having just depression and a lot of anxiety. It's really difficult to have this family unit for 18 years, and then there's just this piece in your family, in your home, that's physically missing. But there's also a piece of your heart that just feels like it's been just ripped out of your chest. I don't know of a better way to say that. Many people try speaking truth into my life and reminding me that I did not lose Eli, but I can tell you as a parent, it still does not really feel that way because antidepressants and other high-powered drugs were just not an option for my body. I decided to seek out counseling during this time. I also tried to eat better, and I ran every night. And I remember on my runs just praying and crying out to God, listening to worship music. And I remember asking him every night, "Lord, just give me manna for today. Give my child the manna that he needs for today to get through boot camp." If anybody can relate to my story, it's probably the Apostle Paul. Listen to his letter written to the church at Corinth. He was writing this while in prison. "At last I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelations. A thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I be exalted above measure. Concerning this thing I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.' Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong." So my friend, I want you to answer this question to yourself. Is God's grace sufficient? Does it abound every day? I hope you answered yes to both of those questions. This life is hard. And like Paul just stated, we are going to face times of need, times of difficulty, persecution, infirmities. All of these things are going to happen, but it's the power of Christ that lies within us and gives us the strength to press on. God gives us these things that we don't deserve, just like children. So let's take time today and stop and pray and thank God for the children that he has bestowed upon you. And if you don't have children or are barren like Hannah, then I challenge you to think and ask God if there's someone that you can mentor or a child that you can coach that just may not have the parents that you grew up having or the parents that you could be to a child. So thank God for this time. And then I challenge you to devote your life and the life of your family to Jesus Christ. Seek God and pray blessings over your family. This is a time to really open up with God? Is there something standing in the way of your relationship with Him, like this thorn in the flesh that Paul mentioned? I challenge you to pray about that and ask God to forgive you or to forgive someone else, and then be fully devoted to Christ.